Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Interior Auto Mechanic. Remember how I always said in my other videos I was going to take this down and have somebody else do the front suspension? Well, guess what? I'm not. I'm the suspension guy in this video. So we are going to attempt to take out our front strut and go ahead and hopefully get our front coilover put in on both sides. And the reason I'm doing this, the more I looked at it, I thought it was stupid to have anybody else do it, because really there's only, and I've got these already started, so ignore this, but there's really only these two bolts that hold this knuckle in onto the strut assembly. So we've got these two bolts with two nuts on both ends. We have our sway bar end link right down here that comes up here and connects to our strut as well. And then we only have one bolt on top that kind of makes like a sandwich plate that holds everything together. So I should be able to remove these, knock these bolts out, remove our bolt down here, and then get our one up on top, and the whole strut assembly should come out. Fingers crossed. The only other bolt we've got is for our stainless steel line, and that's easy enough to remove. So if you're going to attempt this yourself, you're going to need a 19 wrench, and ideally it would be wise to have like an air impact. That's what I'm using to get these off. I did soak these previously. I know I always preach soak the nuts and bolts just so that it makes everything easier when it comes off, but these came off pretty easily. Down here we've got a 17mm nut that will sit onto here. What happens is if you start removing this, let me see if I can turn my flash on. So what will happen is if you start to remove this down here, the backside will start to spin. So you're going to need a 17mm wrench. You can either do it with a wrench or like a ratchet wrench is perfectly fine. And then you're going to want to get vice grips on the backside and lock on to this backside right back here to keep it from spinning, and then you'll be able to get this nut off. After that comes off, we'll go up top and knock that one out and hopefully get our coilover in relatively quick. Alright guys, so I went ahead and put the right side coilover in just to kind of get a feel for how the whole kit went together. Overall, very, very simple to put in. This does have the Cusco Pillowball upper mount as well, and I'll show that, and I'll show the whole install on the other side. So all this will get shown on the other side when I actually do videotape it, but just to simplify it, you've got two 19mm, you've got a 19mm nut and a 19mm bolt, and you've got one more right below, nut and bolt. You're going to take those out, smack them, and they'll pop out. Make sure this does not rotate too far forward. I ended up using some yellow ties that I had used before to kind of hold this back so we didn't damage our lower ball joint or anything like that, which I think is still good. Not feeling, it's a little greasy. We might have to replace those, but we'll deal with that. And then as far as the upper mount goes, I'm going to pause this, lower the car, and I'll show you what I had to do there. Alright, so I've got my strut here, and looks like someone has replaced these in the past, so these are actually probably still good. This is our front like quick strut assembly. In order to get this nut off the top, you can't simply loosen it. If you look down in here, there is an Allen head that fits right down in there. So you have to kind of have either a special tool like an offset wrench or this little handy dandy tool that I'm borrowing from a friend. It's like a typical ratchet wrench, but it's got a socket tip that is a 19mm that goes on here, and then it allows you to take your Allen and put it all the way through. It's open-ended to where you can, remove that. And what you're wanting to do is hold the Allen. You're wanting to hold the Allen still and turn the nut. And when you do that, you can remove that. And then this piece comes off and the lower strut comes out. And we disconnected our brake hose mounting point on the back. And overall, I'm been fighting with myself on Stop Tech. I like their products, but it just feels like this brake line is like an inch or an inch and a half too short, because it feels like it's gonna either, and maybe it's just the it might just be the stainless steel braided lines being that tight. I just don't like having it like a tight bend in anything. and it feels like if I put it back up where it's supposed to be, it's gonna like make everything very, very tight. And maybe that's the way it should be. I'm not used to it. Rubber lines, you typically don't want any kinks in. So I'm leaving that for the moment. I'll come back to it and get it put back up. So we're up top, and I just want to showcase this Cusco Pillowball upper mount there. Not a sponsor of the channel. However, Kenji at Cusco out in California is just an awesome guy. Was able to hook me up with a little bit of a discount on these, and I really do appreciate it. Huge shout out to him. He's an awesome guy to deal with. Knew exactly what I needed. Did not take hardly any time to get the part, and just a fantastic guy to deal with. Wonderful, wonderful customer service. So if you guys are wanting to build your own, I would strongly suggest going with these. They're right around 300 bucks, which I know seems a little expensive. However, they are way, 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 way better than the stock ones. The stock bushing for this is basically a rubber cone on the bottom with a metal piece on top and a nut that holds it in. So what you're going to be fighting against is that rubber will wear out over time, and it's going to just end up giving more, and you're going to get more movement up here than anywhere else pretty much in your suspension, because that's going to be your weak point. I wanted to go ahead and address that now, and all these do is replace the top hat on the coilover, and it allows you to tighten these down with, they're kind of like a spanner style wrench, where you've got one that you hold down here, and then you've got a smaller one that locks into these up here. You hold this one and tighten this lower one, and they give you all the directions. The only downside with the kit is everything is in Japanese, so I used my Google Lens on my Pixel and translated it perfectly fine. It's probably one of the best modifications I can recommend if you're doing suspension on this car. Again, Cusco is not a sponsor of the channel. I wish they were, because their products are fantastic, and they've got a bunch of other stuff I would like to get. So Kenji, if you see this and want to send me some more stuff, would definitely appreciate it. But we should be able to go ahead and sit our tire on here. Oh, one other thing I did not do. So I did not install my sway bar end links yet. The passenger side is off, which is this side. The driver side is still on, so it has it actually kind of in a bind. It's got the sway bar tweaked that way. Once I get that one off, I should be able to install both of them by hopefully jacking this one up some. If you can see back here, I should be able to like get the floor jack, lower the car down enough, get the floor jack, and bring this up to where I can mount it right up to here. But yeah, other than that, let's go ahead and put our tire on and see what our wheel and tire combo looks like on the front. All right, I've just got 2 lug nuts on. I'm gonna probably say we're probably gonna have a rubbing issue with our inner fender liners, and we may even have to roll this fender a little bit. I'm hoping not to. I like the stock look of this car, but overall, pretty happy. The tire looks meaty, but when it's on the ground, it'll look a lot better. We ended up going with 205, 55, 16 Hankook Ventus RS4s. From what I read online, these look like the best tire to get some street use out of, and then also a lot of track fun, and they're relatively inexpensive for a tire, for a track tire. And yeah, not bad for some junkyard not bad for some junkyard wheels. These were just off of a wrecked Miata. I'm going to go ahead and finish up this little bit on this side that I've got to do, and then we'll go ahead and do the other side, knock it out, and I'll videotape that whole side. It might be tomorrow when I do that, just depending on how soon I can get this side knocked out. It's already pretty late tonight. Alright guys, so we're on the driver's side. This is all the stock suspension. I have not loosened any bolts at all, just so that you can kind of see how this all gets put together. It's, as everything on this car for the most part, has been pretty simple and straightforward. We're going to lock on to either side of our 19mm bolt and or nut. I'm waiting on my air compressor to build up enough pressure for our impact gun. I'm probably going to go ahead and take off our lower sway bar bolt right down here. And yeah, I'll video that and we'll go from there. That's what I'm talking about, locking in on the back side with a pair of channel locks or vice grip, well, preferably vice grip, so that you can hold it on here. Okay, this one's on a lot tighter than the other side. Wow, that is on really, really tight. Maybe. Okay, I think I got it broke loose, maybe. Okay, cool. This one was much tighter than the other side for some reason. Right. That guy loose. Got vice grips off of there. Take a hammer, smack that guy through. Sorry. Maybe easier said than done. Alright guys, so I'm leaving the sway bar end link on for right now. I'm going to focus on these two nuts to remove and then get these two bolts out for the strut, and then we'll take our brake line bolt loose on the back side that just mounts it to the strut itself. That's before we take these out completely, so you'll see what I'm doing here in a second. I've got our compressed air impact. We're going to hold our 19mm on this side, and we've got a 19mm on our impact. Sorry for headphone users, but it's going to be loud. Okay, that one's good. Alright, so I kind of intentionally left these the way that I did so that I can have a little bit to still smack these out with. We'll take this nut the rest of the way off, and then we'll still have our bolt in there. That way this doesn't flop out. So we'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and remove, this is like a 12 I think we used. Yeah, 12. Yeah. To hold the brake line on just to the back of the strut. Alright, and we'll just keep these guys together. It's just a simple nut and bolt situation to hold the bracket on for the brake line back over here. We can now go ahead and bust these the rest of the way off, or we can go up top. It doesn't really matter either way. We're going to be holding it up top too. So my main thing I want to try to get is this sway bar end link off. I don't know why it's like welded itself to the bottom down here. But anywho, let's go ahead and get these the rest of the way out. And you'll see what I'm doing here in a second. The reason why I'm doing this. So we can bust this one out a little bit further. Worked its way back, so that's good. Take that guy loose. And the best thing you can do is always put your nut back on your bolt. That way you don't lose it. Put it right over there. Ow, that really hurt. That's gonna probably leave a mark there. Alright guys, I had to take a quick break for a band-aid. And anyway, I've got my Allen key right up here, locked in on my strut, and then we've got our open-ended wrench there to where we can take this upper part off. And I've still got one bolt holding that knuckle end down low, just so that we don't have to worry with too much pressure going on that lower ball joint when this comes free. Let's make sure we're coming loose. Yep, looks to be good so far. We're getting there. Alright, we'll take this loose, and we should be able to get this up out the piece now. Alright, that's out. This comes up through here. Lay these over and away, out of our way. And I'll bring you guys back down. Okay, so we should be able to get this bolt out, and then our strut should want to come down and out. The only thing of concern is this still is in here pretty good. So I'm not sure if I can get a good whack on it. There she goes. Just need a little bit of persuasion. That's it. So we'll get this bolt out. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and build my other coil over. That way when I take this bolt out, I can just slide the other one right back in. And it puts as little strain on that lower ball joint as possible. So we'll take a minute break and go do that. Alright, so we're back in the office. We'll go ahead and build this other coil over real quick. So this is the way the Megans come from factory. You can go ahead and take this piece off. We're not going to need that. And we'll slide this spacer out as well, because what we're gonna have to do is run a different spacer. Cusco's kit, they give you one small spacer for both sides. The problem is you really need two, and I know Joey from Razul, however you say it, sorry Joey, that's also built a Yaris. He ran into a similar problem as well, and what we kind of found was these bronze, they're a bronze fitting from Home Depot. It's a Hillman part, probably not meant for race cars, but hey, it is what it is. You can kind of see what it is right there. Do this at your own risk. I'm just running it because I don't really have any other choice. I'm going to check on my other coilover and see if I ran it this way. I believe I did. I think I flipped it upside down like that. Actually, I know I did. So we'll do that. It's just barely over. I'll show you. Like barely over on size. But the diameter of the center is perfect for this. It doesn't wiggle around too much. So on these Cusco Pillowball top hats, this center piece will come out. Just unscrews. Or actually, I'm lying to you. That piece just sits in there for the time being. So this piece is what we'll unscrew. So just unscrew that. And then this is what we're left with. We'll slide this on here. And go ahead and take our piece that I said to set aside for 1 second. Put that on here. Gotta set it up. Sorry, it's gonna be out of camera angle for a second. Alright, and with that bronze spacer that we've got, it gives us enough room to be able to access our dampening adjuster right up here. This piece will then go on the outside, just like this, and that's what's going to lock it to the car. So, with this built, we can now go in the back and go ahead and get our strut out, replace this, get it bolted back up, and call it a day. Alright guys, it is many days later, many days later actually, from when I did my install on my coilovers, and, well, when we put it together, when I lowered it on the ground, there was some popping noises, and I figured it was just the springs, you know, getting used to the weight on them and everything. I drove it for probably, I don't know, 200-300 miles, somewhere around there, probably a tank of gas, and anyway, came to find out, so Joey Rasul, or Rasul, I'm not sure, sorry Joey if I butcher your name, but he also ran these Cusco top mounts, and I love them. They are fantastic. He did a video on how he installed his, and that's kind of how I based mine off of. And either I might have missed it, or he might have not disclosed it, just because, hey, I get it. Videoing and showing every last thing and talking about it is difficult. Sometimes stuff just doesn't make the cut in the video. But anyway, long story short, this is supposed to have a like an upper bushing piece. It's a spring bush. It's a spring bushing that comes with this kit, and you'll see this looks oily because when I looked up online about the noise from coilovers, people said that you need to lube your top hat, so we lubed up here. But anyway, what was happening was the lower portion of the spring was wanting to turn because it's got this little plastic bushing in between that and the it's got the plastic bushing right here. That allows the spring to turn, but what was happening was this was getting caught up on the aluminum, and unfortunately we've got a little bit of damage on ours. Nothing that should be detrimental to it from what I've seen. That's probably the worst spot. It's just nicked a little bit, but we should be able to slide our bushing piece on. It's basically a plastic piece with an aluminum piece, and that should fix our issue. So I'm in the process of taking this all back apart 2 days before I'm supposed to race. So wish me luck, and me from the future wish I could tell me from the past to do this, because this is not ideal. But anyway, we'll get it torn apart and see how she looks. Alright guys, and this is the piece that I was talking about. I just slid it on. All looks to be okay and should work perfectly fine. But this little plastic bushing right there will allow the spring to slide around and hopefully not give us any binding issues. Alright, so should be able to get this guy out of here. Alright. Guys out. Let's grab our new coilover. And you probably won't be able to see this, but I'm going to go ahead and take that top hat piece up to the top. Put it on just hand tight so that this thing can hang. Alright, and this is where the hillbilly ingenuity is going to come in a little bit. I'm going to lower this down. I'm going to get a block and put underneath of here, just like a wood block, or even our jack, and that way I can adjust this as needed to get it lined up and, you know, get this all mounted. Alright, hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Whoa. Butts right up to a train track, so that's what that was. All right, and one more. We can get rid of this block of wood and this jack. Those are fingy tight. Well, the top one is. The bottom one's giving me a little bit more trouble. But we can blast that through, that ain't no big deal. Okay, let's make sure our brake line is up and out of the way. Drop this bad boy back down. Boom. Okay, cool. Coilovers. Alright, so all we're going to be doing is retightening these two knuckle bolts right here, and then I probably have to readjust my brake line. Same thing I did before on the other side. I just didn't video it. Basically, I'm just going to loosen it to where hopefully we can get, I don't know if we even, you know what, we might be able to get a mounting point on here. I just don't want it to rub, and I don't want it to get kinked. So we'll have to see if I can get a, might be able to right now. Let's see. Don't want it to get stretched, don't want it to get kinked. Might be able to. We'll double check these before we take it out on the road and make sure, you know, full opposite lock side to side, that they don't bind or anything like that, or look like they're getting stretched. So next two, we just need to tighten these up. Probably have to turn my air compressors back on. It was a leaky tool, but we should be good there, but I'm going to turn the air compressor on for a couple minutes, let it build up some more pressure. Hit these one more time, and then we'll go up to the top. And I'm still not going to be worried right now. Well, now that we can move these, I can put these in. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and put our sway bar end links in too. Before, it had it in a bind where the one side was down and the other side was up. So now that they are both off, we should be able to put them on at the same time. So we'll go for that. Alright guys, I'm back up on top of the car. Hopefully the camera tripod will stay where it's at. I wanted to show how you tighten these Cusco Pillowball top hats. This smaller one will lock into this upper piece up here. And then you're going to use your larger one on the bottom to turn down here and tighten. I probably got quite a ways to still snug based off of my other side, but this again was just hand tightened when we were putting it in, so wouldn't it be bad if the strut tower brace wasn't in the way? You could tighten it relatively easily, but I don't feel like taking the strut tower brace back out, so yeah. Guys, real quick, one thing I forgot to mention, I do go back and tighten these down. These were just hand tight on there before. This one and the other one will get tightened. Alright guys, so hopefully you can see pretty well in here. I'm just trying to show what to do as far as getting these set up to the right ride height. This is going to be adjustment for like your preload for your spring with how much it actually moves up and down. This one here is actually going to be our height adjustment. So all we need to do is, I've already got this knocked loose. This needs to be loose, and then these up here, I loosened them because I am going to drop these back down because I went, I don't want to say all the way up, but pretty high up on it. But I'm needing to lift this thing up substantially because my wheel is rubbing on the inside of my wheel liner and hitting my fender. This is just the stock height that they came with from Megan. I never did adjust them. So I've adjusted it probably, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 of an inch at this point now. I'm probably going to lift it up maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches, just to make sure that we've got proper clearance. And then when it goes to the alignment guy, he can set it up the way that he wants to as far as height and everything.
he set up tons and tons of track cars, so I'm very confident with letting him set the adjustment on the height and preload and all that stuff as well. So anyway, once this is knocked loose, basically you can just take this tube and turn it up, and we can turn this spring, or turn this upper one down, just so we're not getting so much resistance, because all this is doing is letting the spring loosen up a little bit, and realistically this needs to come down anyway. So I never did adjust the ride height, but I did adjust the preload, just screwing around with this stuff basically. So we're just going to want to take and turn this up. And you won't probably be able to tell, but you can actually feel this pushing down more. The higher we go, I can feel it dropping slightly. So that's probably about an inch from, and this is moving a little bit, so we're probably right around an inch, so I'll probably go a little bit more. Alright, so I think that will, these are hillbilly measurements, but we will go ahead and lock this back down. And I'm going to bring this preload further down. I'm just going to make these finger tight until I figure out the correct height that I want them to be at, and then we can just always come back in, take the wheel off, tighten everything down, and hopefully get it down to this alignment shop early next week. Have them take a look at it, see what we need. And so we're at roughly, I'm going to call it probably 2 3/4 inch from the top of this to the bottom of this. I know you're really supposed to measure from like up here to here. At that case, let's call it 3.5, maybe 3 1/4, but I'm not worried about the measurements exactly, just because, like I said, my alignment guy will take care of all of this and set the right height as he wants. So I'm gonna get this light out of here, get our wheel put back on, see what we look like on height, and yeah, I'll be right back. All right, guys, so we're back, and all I've done is adjusted preload up and adjusted our ride height up as well. The reason I'm doing that, if I adjust preload down and adjust this up, basically it's a net negative or net wash, if you want to call it that, because the preload is, you know, it's catching on that top hat up there, and we're wanting to keep our spring up higher, and we're wanting to keep our spring up here and obviously give us as much ride height as possible for right now. And we will get that adjusted once it's at the alignment shop. I know I keep saying that, but that guy is awesome on setting cars up, so this should work for what we need. We're going to end the video right here. Thank you to our sponsors, FTG Tuning and Fumoto oil drain valves. As always, their links are down below. Also, thank you to Kenji at Cusco out in California. I really appreciate all your help. These products are fantastic. I'm sure I'll be buying some more Cusco stuff in the future, hopefully. And yeah, if you guys need anything, I'll put a link down to Cusco's website down below, put a link to these Pillowball upper mounts as well. And yeah, so anyway, if you guys like this video, please consider hitting the like button. It would mean the world to me if you would hit the subscribe button. That helps a lot. It really lets me know who's interested in this type of stuff. And yeah, if you got any questions or anything, feel free to put it right down in the comment section down below. Hopefully this video explained, you know, overall how to put coilovers on a Yaris, and maybe just some generic coilover questions in general. So anyway, I'm going to end it here. As always, thank you so much for watching, and good luck on your projects, and have a great day.